You know the man, you know the voice, you know the songs. This is Ross Wilson. Welcome, Ross.
Hiya, Kylie.
How have you been, mate?
Oh, good, yeah. I've been out on the road touring around the place, as you know. Sure.
Yes, I know. Now, I wanted to ask you, you have your standard metropolitan areas where a lot of people perform. You've taken your show out west. How's that been going?
That's been going really well. We've played Orange and Dubbo, and Dubbo was really huge, and Parks. First time I'd been in Parks that I know of, that I can remember. And they've got a great big room there, and we had people jumping around, bouncing off the wall, so good time.
Oh, that's great. I have a question for you, Ross Wilson.
Yeah.
Do you remember what you were doing and where you were the very first time you ever heard your song played on the radio?
Oh, yeah, well, I think I was just at home because I had a suspicion it was going to get played, and I was only about 16 and it was my first group, the Pink Finks, and we put out our first single on our own label, which was unusual in those days, and all our school friends and people around the neighbourhood bought it, and it made the charts in Melbourne, but they were a bit sort of loath to play it because it was a very rough record, but because it made the charts, it eventually got some airplay, so we're listening to the weekly top 40 and it came on and it was like, wow, there it is. Yeah, wow, incredible, So, it was an amazing experience, actually.
Oh, that's great. And you're doing a show here in the Central Coast, aren't you, this month?
Yeah, we'll be playing at Lizottes on the Central Coast, which is where I pretty much got the start quite a few years ago for the semi-acoustic format that I use now that I've been developing, and of course Lizottes is famous for that, and now we've really got that sound tweaked, so it's rather excellent, and I really like that format, and we're playing at all of the Lizottes, the one in Newcastle and in one at DY as well.
Yep.
Yeah,
they're great venues, aren't they?
Yeah, well, they even make albums there, don't they?
I do.
Live albums. Becky Cole live at Lizottes.
That's exactly right. Maybe there'll be a Ross Wilson live at Lizottes.
Maybe one day there will.
Tell me, Ross, what are the best and the worst gigs you've done? Not for you. Sorry, not for you. Sorry, I should rephrase that. What are the best shows that you've done? Where have they been? And have you had any gigs where you've gone?
Oh, look, that is just like such a hard question because I enjoy playing no matter where I am, But of course, I do like playing to a big audience, and I think the biggest one I ever played to was over in New Zealand with Mondo Rock, and we played the Sweetwater Festival for about 60,000, 70,000 people.
Yep.
And I remember that quite vividly. But, I've done a lot of big shows. There are a few places that I, from time to time, go on my I will never play here again list. But I usually relent after a while, and I remember one time, and this is not to say that the people there that live there now are the same people, but Mondo Rock, once again, Mondo Rock, we were touring and we played at Esperance in WA, and the place, for some reason, was very kind of edgy on the night, and there were fights, and there was like, I usually there's none of that stuff goes on at my gigs, and I got off stage and it was practically a riot running outside the hotel,
Oh, no.
And I thought, that's it, I'm not going to play here again. But, of course, I ended up playing there again a few years later,
That's a classic. I'm never going to play here ever again.
Yeah, I had a list, it was a very short list, but if people would, agents would ring up, I want you to go and play so-and-so. So, sorry, that's on my list, They haven't done their time yet.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
And tell me, you've had a very distinguished career, and it's far too lengthy to
I
talk.
sort of look at it as like several careers, like you do your apprenticeship in your teenage band, and then when the first real career when I was like you turned professional was with, of course, Daddy Cool. And that, went up in like a skyrocket up in the sky, and then I had a career as I started a career as a record producer, of course, all music related, and then a second band career with Mondo Rock, which lasted a really long time, and now I'm on my third leg, which is Ross Wilson and the Peaceniks, and putting out solo albums and touring all over the place and having a great time.
The brand new CD I have in my hand, I Come in Peace.
Mm-hmm.
I've got to tell you, that is a collection of the most amazing songs, and I've been playing a
thank you.
lot of them lately, and one of my favourites is The Same Moon, and I Got You. They're great songs, Ross.
I played The Princess of Parks, Diana Corcoran. I played in her hometown. She wasn't there. That was last week, and I met her parents, and we discussed all that. But yeah, I Got You. I wrote that with Diana Corcoran, who's now kicking goals over in Nashville.
Ross, how do you write a song? You have written some of Australia's most incredible and recognisable songs, Touch of Paradise being one. How do you write a song?
Well, sometimes it's desperation. You go, I haven't written a song for a while. I'll ring up my friend who helps me, and I got a few people who always get me out of a rut, and then we knock off a couple of songs. The Same Moon, for instance, I wrote that with Eric McCusker, and there's a funny story attached to this song because it was around the time when Slim Dusty was about to record his 100th album, and they got the idea of let's call up various Australian songwriters and see if they can write a song for Slim. And of course, a whole bunch of people did. Don Walker, and I can't remember who else. But and so Eric rang me up and said, I've been asked to do this Slim Dusty song, and submit one. I said, me too. So let's get together and do it. So we wrote The Same Moon, and then after we'd finished it, I went, gee, that's a really good song, but I don't think it's Slim, And on the way home in my car, I kind of wrote a whole new tune in my head that was ultra slim called slimdusty.com. And that ended up getting on my Country and Wilson album. It's just so slim you wouldn't believe it. And Slim and his family heard it and thought it was very funny. So it had a happy ending there. And then I sat on The Same Moon for myself. I said, I'm not going to let this one go, So when sometimes I put them in the cupboard and wait till the right time, and I felt the right time was for the I Come in Peace album, and we did a really good version, I thought.
Yeah, it is. I think all your CDs are great. You've got Listen Now, which was a phenomenal success.
Yeah.
And I think everything you touch turns to gold, Ross. What is your secret, really? What is it?
I think some part of it is what I just mentioned, where you have to decide, when you're going to use a song. Like if I just went, I think I'm doing a new album, I'll just pick 12 songs, or I might write 12 songs, and it's not necessarily the right thing to do because they might be all, slightly a bit different. One might be a, kind of sexy R&B song, and another one might be a country song. Well, you don't want to put them together on the one album, So it's a matter of curating your own work and deciding what songs sit comfortably together to make a whole album.
That's exactly right. Now you, I believe, you have you do a teaching clinic or a studio or a school. Is that correct? Where you train people? Well, why don't you do that? There's a hint for you.
It sounds like hard work to me. Oh. I hate hard work. I love getting up on stage and playing, but they call it playing because that's what it is. You're playing, you have a good time,
Well, that's something that the Ross Wilson should do. You should open up something where you can train people to be as successful as yourself. Obviously,
I think people could hire me as a consultant. I do have a couple of words of wisdom that I can pass on to people. It would only take an hour. And they could pay me a huge amount of money, and I'd tell them
only take an hour.
The inner thing that they wouldn't get from anybody else,
Who are you kidding? Only take an hour.
It would, because the either ready. It's like I guess sort of like religious knowledge. The head of the tribe, the witch doctor, doesn't pass on the information until the young men are ready, and they get initiated. But some people will never understand, and they become, they'll go off and, not be part of the tribe properly. And and I could tell my secrets to somebody, and some people are just never ready to hear them, and they'd look me in the eye and they'd go, that can't be right. But other people would go, they'd be ready to hear it, and they'd go, oh, yeah. And they'd start applying my rules, and they'd instantly become more successful than they were.
So it's partially timing, and that it just clicks with them.
You're either ready for it or you're not. Some people will never make it. no matter how hard they try. That's the brutal truth. Others, with a little bit of help, can get there.
Now, speaking of secrets, you must have a million stories to tell about, all your travelling, your tours,
I
the
think
bands.
I know what's coming next. Why don't I write a book?
Why don't you?
Because I'd have to if I wrote a book, I'd have to tell the truth from my perspective, and then I'd end up getting sued by people.
You could always change the names, Ross.
Yeah, well, that's what I've read. People like, for instance, Renee Gayer had a very meaty book, but she changed the names, and I wanted the real names.
Of course you do.
It wasn't good enough.
We want a dirty tell-all.
You have to change the names, otherwise you get sued for defamation. And from the other side of the fence. So, I don't think that book's going to get written. But I do put things in my songs. Sometimes I name people if they listen to the song, they know who they were. You go and get sued for writing songs, fortunately.
That's very tricky, Ross. Very clever and very tricky. So tell me, over all the vast years that you've been a performer and an Australian rock legend and icon, is there anything that you would do differently if you could go back in time?
Yeah, probably. I used to be a bit pushy and kind of boss people around and what have you. I'd probably be a bit... I'm not like that now. I've learned how to kind of extract good from people without having to, push them around or anything like that. But, yeah, that's just stuff you learn as you go along. So it's no real regrets because you do what you got to do,
Yeah, I bet you've had one hell of a life, but so far.
Not bad.
Write a book, Ross.
Hanging in there. No, well, I'd have to write a book, maybe when I retire, and because I'm not going to retire, we're not going to write a book. There you go.
Ross, it's a pleasure for me to speak to you this afternoon. I know you and I have had some chats off air, but this was a big deal for me, and you've made it really, really, really easy. Now, write a book.
No, we're radio people, you and I.
We are.
It's all about sound.
That's right. Yeah. So where to next, Ross? What's up next for Ross Wilson?
Well, as you mentioned, I'm doing the Lizottes circuit and also the Brass Monkey in that week. So that's the big semi-acoustic week. And then I'm going to spend some time in September. I'm not playing very much. And I'm going over to... Los Angeles for a big family-related big showbiz wedding.
That's lovely.
Yeah, and hoping also to, before I do that, to cut a few new tracks. So that's what's starting to fill up my mind. That's not very far away.
Ross, do you need a date for that overseas wedding?
I've got a date. It's the last week of September.
No, can I be your date?
No, I'm sorry.
I want to go over there.
I'm married,
I know you're married.
Yeah, my kids are going to be the bridesmaids and stuff like that.
Oh, that's lovely. Yeah. You're going to have a ball.
Yeah.
Ross Wilson, again, it's a pleasure to speak to you. I'm going to let you go. I know that you've got a lot to do and you're a busy man and you've got some more shows coming up. So I'm sure that Lizottes gig will be sold out very quickly.
I hope so.
And you can jump on the website for further details on when and where. And Ross, again, thank you so much for taking the time to chat to me.
Thank you, Kylie.
It's been a pleasure. Now stay on the phone, won't you, so we can have a chinwag. I'm going to run out The Same Moon, one of my favourite Ross Wilson songs, along with some of the other classics. Eagle Rock, the official Australian national anthem, is a ripper as well. But here's The Same Moon from the brand new CD, I Come in Peace. Ross Wilson, thank you so much again.
Thank you.